I created this show to elevate other people's stories, elevate other people's voices, elevate other people's experiences, not just interview experts or people with information, but others that have gone through their own health journey. It's just incredible. And I am so excited for year 2. Are you struggling with low energy, weight gain, hormonal imbalances, or heavy metal and mold toxicity? Do you want to learn more about anti-aging tips and creating more longevity in your life? Well, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Jen Heller, a wellness educator, infrared sauna expert, and home health consultant. In this podcast, Homes That Heal, I will teach you how to transform your home into a health and wellness sanctuary. Your health is your wealth, and I believe that your home should be your sanctuary space, loaded with the tools you need to thrive in your life, not just survive. If you want to feel fantastic and transform your life and home, grab a pen, let's dive in and create a home that heals. Hey friends, Jen here. Thanks for tuning in and welcome back to Homes That Heal. So it's officially been a year since I started my podcast. And honestly, guys, words cannot even describe how incredibly grateful I am and honored to be able to be in your ear each week. As you can hear, I kind of hardly even have the words. First of all, it's so crazy that it's been a year. It seems like it's been 5 minutes, but it also seems like it's been 50 years. I think you all can relate to that. Time just seems to be whipping by, but also it's like, what is happening? It's going by so fast, yet it seems like it's hard to even put your thumb on the pulse of like the actual time frame, like time and space. Seems like it's kind of evaporated sometimes. But anyways, it's been an incredible year. So many phenomenal guests, so many phenomenal conversations, so many phenomenal reviews and shares and emails and just everything. Like I'm so grateful for you and your support and your loyalty and all of the information and feedback that you're sending back my way and to my team. We hear you. We hear each and every one of you. We read all your messages. I see all your messages. So please continue to share and continue to send the love. Y'all appreciate it so much. This show, as you know, is basically created for two reasons. Well, for multiple reasons, but the main one is I've just been in this business a really long time and I love it. I love it so much. It's literally what I was put on this earth to do. And to be able to be in your ear each week is just one of the most phenomenal and humbling experiences of my life. And to be able to share the information and the things that I've learned over the last almost 2 decades for not only my own health and healing, but just from so many others, like literally thousands. When I look at the amount of people that I've had the opportunity to work with and connect with and talk to and sell a sauna to and help serve, it's thousands and thousands. It's just so incredibly crazy to me sometimes, but I've like learned so much from you. I've learned so much from the people that I've worked with and just gotten feedback from. So to be able to share that out with you on a platform such as this, it's incredible. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you. I appreciate you tuning in each week. And I appreciate you sharing this show and any of these conversations that you think can help other people and your family and your friends on your socials, wherever it feels good and aligned for you to share. Thank you for doing that. I think that we can all agree that is how the world goes round, is sharing organic information. So again, I could do an entire show on just my level of gratitude. It's just overflowing. So thank you. And Mark and I'm talking to my husband Mark again today because it just felt fitting to bring him back on the show with our year in review because we have so much to be grateful for and to share, but also he's just been a huge, he's my number one fan, as well as there's just a lot has happened in a year. So I was thinking like, who could I talk to, that would make sense to celebrate this one year? And it was very easy. The second reason I created this show was to elevate other people's stories, elevate other people's voices, elevate other people's experiences, not just interview experts or people with information, but others that have gone through their own health journey, their own experiences, their own aha moments, their own evolutions and elevation to a higher self and a higher health of healing. It's just incredible. And I am so excited for year two. So excited. You can't even imagine. I have lists, names upon names of people that I want to talk to that have reached out to me. Like the hard part is the schedule, of course, that's like getting it all lined up. But please continue to tune in because year two is going to be jam-packed. I learned a lot in the first year. Full disclosure, a podcast is not just hitting record and sending it out into the airwaves. There is a bit of behind the scenes that goes into it. And so huge shout out to my team for everything they do to put this show together. It's just, I absolutely could not do it without them. They are the glue that keeps me grounded, to be quite honest. But we have a lot of really great and fantastic shows coming up and lined up for this year. And the conversation of health and wellness is just amplifying. I'm sure you can all feel it. It's very palpable. I think we're living through an incredible and interesting time. People are looking deeply inward at their health and well-being and deciding what's serving them, what's not, who's serving them, who's not, what modalities and things do they need to get into their home that's important to them, letting go of jobs and relationships and people so that they can continue to align and elevate their lives. Like it's just such an interesting time to be alive. And so again, I'm I'm grateful for so many things, but most of all, I'm grateful for this platform and the ability to share these conversations with you each week. So thank you again from the bottom of my heart. Mark is my husband, obviously. I've mentioned that we're going to be talking a little bit about a year in review and things that have changed for us both personally and professionally. All of the information and things that we talk about, of course, are on the jenhellerlifestyle.com site. His contact information is there as well as the show notes. In addition to anything else that you're looking for that can serve you, whether it be finding the resources on the Jen Recommends page, if you're shopping for an infrared sauna, all of that information is there, as well as if one of the goals that you have this year is to transform your home and your life into a little bit more of a harmonious and healthy space. The home wellness checklist is a free resource guide for you that is on the Jen Heller Lifestyle site. Please hop over there, download that, pick a spot that feels good to you to start, and let's create a home that heals together. So I hope you enjoyed today's show. It's kind of just a candid conversation with my husband and best friend, and grab a pen or cup of coffee, sit back, relax. Cheers to year two. Let's go. Well, hello, friends, and welcome back to another show of Homes That Heal. My favorite guest, my husband, Mark Heller, who's joining us. We figured out how to coexist in the house and do a podcast so that we don't hear each other. So welcome back to the show, my favorite husband and guest.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So today, this week, one of the reasons why I brought you back onto the show is for two reasons. One, this is episode 50. So we're celebrating a full year of podcast funness.
Awesome.
It is awesome. It is awesome. It went by very quickly. It kind of feels like it was 1,000 years, but it kind of feels like it was just yesterday that we started. But also because I thought it would be fun if we did a year in review, not just in and around the Homes That Heal show, but in and around our life, because it pretty much created the show around our life and the business. Jen Heller Lifestyle is all about our life and our home and the things that we do and the way we live our life. Also because you were my first guest a year ago when we first launched. You were my very first guest. And it was actually also one of the most listened to shows, which I'm not shocked, obviously. So I thought it would be fun just to bring us back together to talk about some things and highlight the year as a whole. So in general, I think that been a lot of challenges, a lot of good stuff has happened in the last year. Tell me a little bit about who you are besides my husband. What's your zone of genius? I shouldn't assume that people just know who you are other than I talk about you all the time. So why don't you share a little bit about like a 30-second clip of who you are and what you do and why you love our life.
Awesome. All right. Well, my name's Mark. Obviously, I'm your husband. For a career, I teach the infinite banking concept is my main vein. I've been doing that for a few years now. Basically, that is just teaching people how to take control of their savings and not be dependent on commercial banks. And I also teach people how to save and spend their money at the same time. I'm super passionate about it. I love it. So anytime I can talk to people about that, I enjoy it. And then most recently, I don't know if we're getting into this right now or later, but I also joined up in the Wisco Real Estate Services team a couple months ago. Some of our friends reached out and wanted me to join their team. So I'm helping them with some fundraising and we can get into what we do there. Basically, I had an opportunity presented to me to work with some of my friends who I've known for 5+ years. I was also looking for an office space for my business for infinite banking. And I was talking to those guys about the office space that they had available. And they said, why not instead of just coming here and working on your IBC stuff, how about you also come here and help us with our daily dealings with Wisco Real Estate Services? So they brought me on. I'm sort of in charge of fundraising there amongst some other things as well. So working with them, 3/4 time and working IBC 3/4 time. So it's been great. So far, I'm learning a ton about real estate. And I just feel like anyone that is investing in real estate passively or actively should be also utilizing infinite banking in their lives. And I also feel like anyone that's doing infinite banking should also be going out and finding cash flowing assets that they can, dump money into and get returns and put it back in the policy and then do it again. So it's the best of both worlds. I'm trying to kind of marry my two passions of real estate and infinite banking at the same time. And this opportunity presented itself. So it's been working out great. And the more people I can talk to and the more people I can help, the better I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that I shouldn't say making fun of it, but we were kind of laughing about this when this came up because it was
Yep.
like you always get slightly frustrated, but 98% joyful when you're like, oh my gosh, there are these synchronicities that she's always talking about that usually just kind of like, oh, these gifts just land in our lap. But it was so interesting how we were talking about you not working inside the home anymore and actually having a more designated space, kind of getting back to that so that we weren't on top of each other as far as our daily routines, but then also just so that you could be in and around like-minded people. And you were kind of feeling like one of the challenges that you and I both discovered over the last year was that I need my own space, especially when I'm working. Like I've got a designated office, obviously, but when I get into the zone, like I don't like a lot of distractions and talking and different things. I like to just kind of be in my space. And so from a productivity standpoint, I think that was one of the things that we learned last year that we needed. That was an opportunity, we'll call it, to do something different. And then like, boom, this kind of landed as an opportunity in your lap and it worked out really well. So I think that in general, I guess I always talk about building wealth for yourself, financial freedom. It's no joke. I'm unapologetic about making money and earning an income that supports our life and our lifestyle. We like to travel. We like to buy things for our home. We like to do things for ourselves, and you need the almighty dollar to do so. And so, being entrepreneurs, both of us work for ourselves. We don't have like a standard 401k or a pension or something sitting in a bucket for later. I mean, I kind of left that when I left my job at Coca-Cola, and you too, when you left your W-2, it was like, okay, now it's up to us to build this runway. And that requires discipline and consistency and creativity. And that also is kind of fun because you can decide what that looks like. For us, we like real estate and we like passive income strategies, and we like to save an environment that's a little bit more safe and secure than the volatility of Wall Street. So infinite banking just checks all those boxes for us. So that's what's kind of cool about you doing this. Actually, I don't think we've ever really talked about it or that people actually know what you do. I talk about you all the time. I don't, I don't think I actually tell people what you do. You have 15, 20 years in property management and real estate. We've done flipping and private lending and things like that, but your infinite banking thing is really cool. And it's a way that we've really created a foundation for our lives. And so you switching gears into that a few years ago to teach that to other people it's kind of a win-win for everybody, I think.
Yeah. And then, getting together with these guys at the Wisco Real Estate Services, I just feel like not only now can I help people more in infinite banking, but I can also help us more with the real estate side, which we already wanted to do more of through our infinite banking as well. So it makes a lot of sense. And at the same time, I can also help get other people involved in real estate that maybe aren't already as well. Because, we do deals from multifamily syndications where you need to put 100 grand into the deal or 150 grand into the deal, but we do things all the way down to as small as if you have $5,000 you want to lend for a few months, we're just trying to get everyone involved in real estate wherever they're at so they can understand how it works and help them along the way. So it's been great learning on my end, but also helping other people learn as well. It's been pretty exciting.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I remember most, and we can talk about, because I know you said you wanted to, when we talk about like what your greatest challenges are or have been over the last year, you can speak for yourself on this. But I think just for me personally, having a front row seat to your life, kind of a small foot on your back of support,
Medium-sized foot, maybe.
medium sized foot. Yeah. I have like a size 7, but it feels probably more like a 10 sometimes. Just encouraging you to continue doing what I know you love, despite the fact that it's challenging and it's not easy to be your own boss. It's not easy to be an entrepreneur, because if it were, everybody'd be doing it. But being in service to other people and helping people create financial freedom, like that's something we're both really passionate about. I live in the space a little bit more. You live in the wealth space, but I know that this is your passion. And on days when you're like, I don't know if I can do this, I don't know if I'm cut out for it, or, you just run up against these challenges of the accountability and the discipline. It's been really rewarding to see you over the last few years, like step further into confidence and not being afraid to try new things. Or when you are afraid, you tell me you're afraid, and then I tell you to stop being afraid.
Then we just do it anyway.
Then you just do it anyways. So it's kind of fun to be a yin and yang team. But I think the overarching message is that people just having the courage to step into doing something that they really love and like what their passions are in life, versus just kind of sitting mediocre on the sidelines or staying small and not really living out what they really want to do. And, I think we're evolving and there's still a lot of room for growth, but you've taken the leap off the Golden Gate Bridge that's behind you. And I think that that's really cool. And I think that's really inspiring to others.
For, yes, I took the leap to get out of my W-2, and was that terrifying? Yes. And I obviously have had plenty of challenges along the way. I don't know how many hands and feet I would need to count the amount of times we've said, man, wouldn't it be a lot easier if I just had a W-2 job and I could go and collect a paycheck and come home? But that's not the lifestyle we want to live. We both want to be able to work out of a backpack and go travel and go to Sedona or go wherever and go see our family and just do our thing, which you obviously can't do if you need to physically be at a location. But on top of that, I just didn't feel like I was helping enough people in my W-2. Like, yeah, I was renting apartments to people, so that's helpful for those people. But ultimately, you're basically bringing profit to whoever owns your company. With this, I'm working for myself. I set the rules. I do what I think makes the most sense to help the most people on any given day. And I only answer to myself. So is that really fun? Yes. Is it also terrifying sometimes? 100%. But I think I'm just trying to constantly push myself out of my comfort zone so that I don't live there. Because, what's that saying? Your comfort zone is where dreams go to die.
That's it. Who told us that? Did Peter tell us that, or did we hear that somewhere
I
else?
believe it was Peter. I think it was Peter, but he probably stole it from someone.
He probably stole it from Tony Robbins, let's be honest.
Yeah. Maybe, but either way, it's a great saying.
It is. And it obviously has stuck with you because that is something you've mentioned a million times over, and that we've talked about. It's like, yeah, your job, when you were renting apartments, you loved it and you were great at it. You're really great at it. Your company was really sad and frustrated when you left. And I think you were also kind of sad and scared to leave because you also really enjoyed that job, because
some of my identity for sure.
Yeah, you got to talk to so many people. I mean, it checked a lot of boxes as far as who you are and your character and your personality and what you like. And so that was a big change, but I mean, I think the pros outweigh the cons, and that's what we've talked about over the last year or two, is that whenever things like the highs are high and the lows are low, and when you get into those low phases, we go for a walk and we talk through what is it that we need, what is it that you need here, and you vent or you rant or you whatever, and then it's like, okay, do the pros outweigh the cons here? And the answer is usually yes.
Working for myself is a huge challenge because I work really well off of lists. And generally, if you have a W-2 job, you have a list that somebody else provides to you, and then you just do the work. And it's pretty simple. But working for yourself, you should have lists, but you're the one making them. So, if you don't make them, there's not one for you to do. So then you just sit there and twiddle your thumb. So it's a lot of forward thinking the night before, writing things down, what you have to get done the next day, which that's not how I grew up and maybe not even how I am inside as a person, but that's who I'm trying to become. So, like you said, it's a
Yeah.
challenge every day, but I think I'm going in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think it helps that my mom continues to buy you stationery with cats on it. So that encourages you fun stationery so that it encourages you to pull out your notepads instead of those
Yep.
boring yellow index notepads that are laying all over our house and your office when you have
I can,
fun stationery.
yeah, if you make a list with a cat on it, it's a lot more fun than one that doesn't have a cat on it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think just in general, when you can bring a little bit of joy and humor to your day and create an office space. Obviously, I'm pro homes that heal. I'm also pro offices that are productive. When you create a space that you love and you feel like you can get in your zone of genius instead of feeling all the headaches or the chaos that flies around, I think that's important. And in my office, this area space that I sit in, it's like I've got crystals and I've got pictures and I've got windows and I've got different things, birds flying by. I've created a space that I really, really love and that makes me feel good so that I also feel like I can be productive and get in the zone. And so, all joking aside, I think that is important.
100%.
So, yeah. What have been your favorite wins over the last 12 months? If you could pick a couple things, one or two things, what would you say would be the most fun? Not necessarily work related. We don't have to talk about your work or whatever a ton, but what would you say have been your favorite wins?
Well, on the work related front, I made a couple of positive changes inside my infinite banking career that I've just elevated up and done some things that have just put me in the right frame of mind and got me into a better environment, I think. I've also branched out and started working with some of your genius people that you work with that help do content and stuff like that. So I'm learning a ton there, but also branching out and not just paying someone to do it for you, but trying to learn along the way. So growing as an individual, I guess. And then obviously joining the Wisco team has been awesome for me as well. Other than that, I would say one of my biggest, I don't know if you'd call it a win or just super awesome, but I got to go out to Wyoming with one of my best friends and go snowmobiling for 3 days with him and some of his buddies and just went backcountry snowmobiling and didn't have any idea what we were doing and hope for the best and hope we didn't hurt ourselves and kind of told our wives, we think we'll be back in one piece. No big deal. Good luck.
I was pretty sure someone was coming back with like a broken collarbone or something, fingers. I didn't know. I was just like, Lord, please keep these guys safe and up, like rubber side down, so to speak. I know that you
Get
guys,
the rubber on the road.
yeah, rubber on the road, but I also didn't, if I remember correctly, I didn't have like any like do this, do that, make sure you, because I'm like, you don't need me, you don't need me lecturing you. But I was secretly like, okay, you got a bunch of middle-aged guys living their glory days out on snowmobiles in Wyoming. There's not a care in the world and the sun is in the sky. Like someone's gonna flip this thing over. I'm just waiting for the pictures. Every time a text would come in from you, I was like, oh God, I hope it's just you guys hanging out in the snow.
Yeah, I would say, you know, I'm 45. I'm not 18. I don't like the term middle aged. So if you could not use
Oh.
that, that'd be fantastic.
Okay, what should
If I
we say?
if I am middle aged, that'd be great. 'Cause that means
Handsomely
I live
mid
until
40s.
90.
You're
Yeah,
handsome in your mid 40s.
yeah, handsome and mid 40s. That's what we were out there for sure. But yeah, I think I wasn't sure that somebody wasn't going to hurt themselves, but I was pretty sure it wasn't going to be me. At least not on purpose, because I'm trying to be a little bit wiser as I get older and not just going, you know, throttle down.
Full throttle. Yeah, I will say, I mean, that was something where you were like, okay, going back to the entrepreneur thing, it's like a person always questions like, should I take off? Should I go? I have so many things to do in the business. Like, when you take yourself out of the business, even though that's the lifestyle we want to live, like you and I both talked about, it's like, okay, is this the pros outweigh the cons? I remember you and I talking about this, and I was like, you have to do this trip. Like, there's no way around it. Like, we have to have fun. You live to have friends, like friendships, especially with guys, are really important to you. And there was just no way I wanted you to sacrifice that because I knew you needed a break. And I knew that you getting into nature was so important in actually just ditching the phone, disconnecting entirely, getting into nature, having a great time, not thinking about anything besides hanging out with your buddies and just playing in the snow. Like, we all need that so much, just in general, we need to cut out and take some breaks. So I was really happy when you went on that trip because you came back completely refreshed too. You were like, oh,
Yeah.
I needed that so much. I mean, the smiles on your guys' faces every time you said, it was just like priceless. Like, it was so good. And I was so happy that you were happy. And like Billy, I don't know all the guys that you were with or whatever, but every single one of you guys were beaming and glowing and just having a great time. So I think that's really important. I definitely think that was a highlight.
Yeah, one other win I would say, speaking of fun, throttle down and wins, would be the new motorcycle that we just purchased.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that qualifies.
That's
Not for all throttle down,
yeah. Don't say that too loud. Deb's listening. She's already losing sleep over it.
a throttle partially down then, if you would.
Yeah.
But
Throttle
yeah, I
partially down, Deb. Everything's fine.
finally upgraded our 2002 Honda motorcycle into a 2024 Harley. So we've elevated up a little bit. And even though we are good negotiators, we weren't able to do a straight up trade for a 2002 for 2024, but we tried.
I
But
guess
again,
my better efforts. Yeah.
yeah, not to talk about work all the time, but that's why we have whole life insurance policies set up for infinite banking, because when we want to go buy something, we just take a loan against our policy and go buy it and then pay ourselves back on whatever schedule we want to do. So it's
Yeah.
still creating the freedom for us to do what we want when we want to do something fun like that with it as well, not just always buying cash flowing assets.
Yeah, that's important. I mean, I've always loved motorcycles. There was a big chunk of time when I lived in Rhinelander, like I wanted my own motorcycle, something fierce. I was bound determined actually to get my own motorcycle. And then I had the opportunity to, and I didn't. I can't really quite articulate why. I think I know why. My ex-husband was like, don't do that. He was really mad. And I was like, okay. So I just did. I hesitate to say that so that you don't think that I just do what I'm told. Just kidding.
I've picked up on the fact that you don't just do what you're told.
Yeah. I'm pretty free spirited, but I don't know. There was something in me where I was like, I don't think I need that right now. But I love riding on the back of the bike now. I think it's just a freedom thing. I think that it's that I like to be in control, but I love just sitting on the back and just like looking around and I know you probably see me sometimes. I got my hands up in the air, especially if we go over a bridge. I'm like, freedom, like USA. Like, it just feels awesome to be cruising around in the wind, and I love it. So it was definitely time. The old Honda had served its purpose. It was a good bike for a really long time, but the last couple years, the one blinker didn't work very well. And that's kind of a problem.
Blinkers are important on motorcycles. That's true.
It's kind of important. And you're like, oh, I can just stick my arm out. And I was like, yeah, I'm just not feeling like that is the best way. So yeah, happy to be upgraded to a new, little bit more comfy, cozy bike. I'm trying to think what my wins are. I would say, my challenges would be, and I know you and I talk about this a lot, but like my morning routine, my health and my therapy stuff that I'm supposed to be doing all the time. Not supposed to, but I get to be doing. I would say the last year for me was probably the most challenging, was just like super busy with work, which very grateful for the abundance sauna season, which was basically winter from like October to April-ish, was just bonkers and bananas, and in a good way, but also in a holy cow, I'm just one person way. So that really kicked me off the rails of my wellness routine in the sense of like my daily workouts. I got away from my daily yoga, which is not ideal, and just was kind of sprinkling it in. So I was still doing it some, but I realized I don't know, maybe January, well, maybe February, I was like, holy cow, like, this isn't ideal. I need to get back to basics. And so I think that was probably my biggest challenge, even though obviously I talk all the time about the health and the different therapies and modalities. I definitely was doing plenty. I was doing my PEMF chair and doing different things, but I got out of my very regimented routine, and that took a toll for sure.
I mean, I did as well because I was, for a long time, I was just working at home and was just doing infinite banking stuff. But now that I'm going to the office at Wisco a lot of the time, it kind of screwed up my routine. I was going to Anytime Fitness and working out 3 to 5 times a week during the day. And
Mhm.
now it's just a little bit more difficult to do that, although there is an Anytime Fitness a half a mile from my office in DeForest as well, which is awesome. But now I've got 2 full-time jobs I'm trying to juggle at the same time while you're trying to squeeze in a workout in the middle of the day. It's not as
Mhm.
realistic. So just takes a little bit of planning again there too. Get up and do it in the morning before you start your day, or know you're going to do it at the end of the day when you're going to have time, but you might not be able to squeeze it in the middle. So
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the things I told you the other night or a couple weeks ago when I got back from Sedona. When I was in Sedona with Jean for a week and just completely unplugged and disconnected. That was actually the first vacation that I've taken in about 6 months. The last one that I completely disconnected was was I in Banff last September? Yeah, I think it was September timeframe. So I went a pretty good stretch without any real disconnection time from work and from just like day to day. And so one of the overarching things when we were there was like, Jean's a yoga teacher. So every day we were doing yoga on the deck and we are just like got to sink into this glorious routine. And 100% within 24 hours of being there, I was like, okay, I need to build this back into my morning because trying to peel myself away in the middle of the day wasn't very realistic or conducive. So I had to be really honest with myself and tell myself like this needs to be a goal when I get back. And so that was why when I got back, we were out for our walk that evening. I was like, okay, here's what's happening. I hired a personal trainer actually, and I've been going on Monday mornings. It's not like I need to go every day or even 3, 4 times a week. I literally just wanted the weekly accountability to start the week off. So Monday mornings, now I go to the trainer at 7 for an hour. The rest of the week, I'm doing my own thing with my B3 bands and my yoga and some other stuff. And then Saturday mornings, I actually put myself on the schedule for the local yoga facility or yoga place here in town every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. Like I've just booked it out for the next 6 weeks, I think. So it's just on the schedule. So it's kind of a non-negotiable because I can very easily talk myself out of it and, sit around and read books or pet cats or go for a walk with you or still do good leisurely things or good exercise. But I allowed myself to take myself off my schedule a little bit too much over the last year. And that was something that needed to get back on front burner priority. So that to me was my biggest challenge, but also my biggest win was recently just kind of like shifting that back into first position, so to speak.
I think the only thing that I want to concentrate on that I would need or I'm struggling. I don't know if I'm struggling, but we eat pretty healthy for the most
Mhm.
part, but I just I need to talk to some people and see if somebody can help me eat what I should be eating. I don't think I'm eating
Yeah.
enough for one, to go with my workouts. So I think I should be eating more, but I think, oh, if I eat more, I'm going to gain more weight. Well, that's not necessarily true depending on what you're eating. So I think I should probably just bite the bullet and connect with someone that can kind of give me some guidance on exactly what I should be eating, based on what I want to be doing for working out. I think it would just maybe help me get where I want to be a little bit better. So that's probably one of the next things I want to work on.
Yeah, I think that's a good goal. I know you've talked about that on and off for the last year or two. It's just like working with someone that can look at your training and your workouts and determine the protein you should be eating. I mean, we definitely eat clean, we eat well. There's aside from your ice cream on a Friday night, which absolutely we know you/we aren't giving that up because we enjoy that, making homemade ice cream or healthier ice cream, whatever. But we 100% are on par as far as the type of food that comes in the house. And when we go out to restaurants, I just think you're not eating enough. I think that there's opportunity to look at like protein and just dial in a little bit more clear. And that's with nutritionists or somebody that can like really focus in on that. So yeah, that's definitely something we can put on the docket. I think the other thing, we are headed to Sedona for a vacation that you and I have. I know, I'm so excited. Like going back to the same house Jean and I were at, gorgeous views in Sedona, we're doing that. We're leaving that by the time this airs. I think it's like 2 weeks, maybe after. I'm not really sure. But here in the next few weeks, we're going to take a much needed husband-wife vacation, kind of a wellness retreat.
Get into nature and do some disconnecting.
Yeah. Well, Sedona is where it's at. I've been there a few times now and you've not. So I feel like I get to be a little bit of the tour guide, but it's epic. For anybody listening who's been there, they know they're shaking and nodding their head yes. Yeah, that too is something that I think I've been traveling a bunch and you've been kind of doing your own thing here and there for work. We haven't taken a vacation together for over a year, like a distinct, intentional trip. We have not done that without doing a bunch of work.
Yeah.
So
it's been too long.
Pretty excited about that.
Same.
I think the last thing, or one of the things, I don't really need to talk about the podcast, even though this whole show is supposed to be like year in review about the podcast, like celebrate. Like the podcast to me is my passion. You know that. It's like a full-time job, but I love it because I get to talk to people every day. I get to do this with the people I care about the most. And I'm super grateful for my community and my listeners and everybody that sends me all sorts of love and reviews and feedback and questions and information. So I think that's been like probably one of my favorite wins and accomplishments over the last year as I've worked pretty hard to grow the show. We're in, I think, 47 countries now.
I was going to say, and it's growing and it's awesome. I can say that. You can't say that. You can't pump yourself up, but I can. I see how much work you're putting into it.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. You wait up. I couldn't even put a number on the amount of evenings that you wait up late at night when I'm recording shows at midnight, 1, 2, sometimes even 3 o'clock in the morning, because that's when I get the best uninterrupted time. And then a lot of times I come in our bedroom and you're still sitting there with, with the light on, just laying there waiting patiently to get there. So I appreciate the fact that you've been super supportive and you're always my biggest fan. So I appreciate and I love you for that. The show is a lot, but it's so rewarding. It's probably one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my life to date, because so many people, you get to talk and it gets to be in so many people's ear. And then so many people hear it and then they send you messages and they tell you like, this inspired me to do this, or you've changed my life, or we're coming up on, I want to chat about like coming up on a 6-year anniversary for you being sober. And when I say you, we both are. However, I've had a couple of glasses of wine, I think, in those 6 years, just in celebration. Yeah, I would say. Yeah. I can't remember what the events were, but I think I had good reason. But I can count on one hand how many drinks I've had in 6 years. So I consider that a win. I don't care about it at all. If I never drank alcohol again, it's totally fine for me. I love our life being sober. It's the most clear-headed and heart-centered and grounded I've ever felt in my entire life. And so for you, I know obviously one of the things we talked about, speaking of being influential and inspiring, was you were the first guest I had on the show. And that show is one of the most listened to shows. And I got so much feedback from people I hadn't talked to in like 15, 20, 30 years from high school, messages from both men and women who sent me messages saying, thank you so much for having Mark on the show and him sharing his story about drinking and alcoholism. Like, you have no idea how much that's changed my life. In fact, even just as recent as a few weeks ago, I had a guy who called and ordered a sauna, and we got to talking about alcohol, and I told him your story and that you quit drinking 6 years ago. And I encouraged him to listen to our show from last year. And he sent me this like such a long response back in email, like all these aha moments he had, and telling me to thank you for sharing and being so vulnerable and honest about where you were at. And apparently some of the things that you said really resonated with him in particular, but other guys have said that to me too. And quite frankly, I can't really speak to it because I didn't live it, but there are just certain things about the situation that seem to align with other people who are struggling. And so that was another reason why I wanted to talk to you again today and just celebrate this milestone with you, because obviously I love you and you're the most important person in my life, but also I think that the conversation we had about that was really, really important. And so coming up on 6 years, and I know it's a huge passion of yours to help other people as well. What would you say is just some reflection on that on your part?
Yeah, I mean, what I realized when I was struggling, obviously, is that the only person that really can convince you that you need to stop drinking is yourself. Like, until you decide that you're quitting and whatever you're trying to get to is not going to be gotten to as long as you're drinking. Like, your life needs to be more important than alcohol. And for a long time, it wasn't. And then even after I made the decision that it was, it still takes you a long time to unwind out of a, drunken stupor most of the time, or I'm hungover, or I don't want to go through withdrawal. So I know if I keep drinking, then I'm not going to do that. Well, you have to get through all of that in order to get past it, obviously. And I'm no doctor, so I'm not going to tell people how to do it. But if you haven't made a decision in your mind that you're not ready, like no one's going to convince you, which, I explained to my family and they kind of let me do my own thing in my own time frame for the most part, which was good. I don't think I would have done well with an intervention. I don't think trying to shove something like this down people's throats are really the way to do it, even if it is out of love, at least not for me. But that was also why I wanted to do this call last time, because if my story can help anyone that is struggling, that is embarrassed or afraid or whatever to talk about it with their friends, family, girlfriend, boyfriend, like reach out to me or reach out to you and have you reach out to me. I don't care. Like I'll talk to anybody. If I could have a conversation with someone that might save their life, like I'm absolutely willing to do that, obviously.
Yeah.
In fact, I recently lost a high school friend from, I believe, mostly alcoholism as well. And kind of makes you think like, is there more a person could have done to prevent that from happening when you've gone through it and gotten out the other side? And it makes me wonder and sad and cry and whatever. But again, that's why I would love to keep coming on here and keep talking about it because again, if I can help anyone, it yes, it gives you inner fulfillment that you're helping other people, but also I just want to help other people, on their side too. So like these people you're talking about right now, like anybody that hears this that wants to know more about what I did or my story or wants to talk to me about it, I'm definitely willing to.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we just learned in the last week of your friend that passed due to organ failure, and that has kind of had a ripple effect through your friends. I mean, you've received multiple text messages and phone calls from people. I think it was kind of shocking to everybody that happened. But one of the things, obviously, that was sad, and I don't know who you were talking to on the phone. Maybe it was Bill, or maybe it was your Aunt Gina. I'm not quite sure, but like you had said that that could have been you.
Right. If you sit back and think about it, it's like if I have,
Yeah, it makes
if
me
I
really,
didn't get,
yeah,
I know if I didn't get my shit together when I did, that might have been me and it might have been me that everybody's talking about. And,
yeah,
I feel terrible that maybe I wasn't able to get through to my friend, but again, people need to have the willingness to reach out if they need help too. So as long as I'm putting myself out there saying, if you guys want help, I'm here for you. That's about all you can really do.
yeah. Well, I'm grateful that you're here, obviously, and 100%. That was my fear when you were struggling so bad, and we had some pretty rough years. You know, full disclosure of you on the bathroom floor, just some in some pretty bad ways. That is what I feared, was that someday that was going to be you, and I just couldn't sit by and watch that. So I'm grateful every day, literally thank God every day that you had the courage, wisdom, and motivation to know that there was another way and another option. And so celebrating or knowing that that milestone is coming up is probably one of the biggest anniversaries that we could celebrate for sure.
Yeah. And thanks to you for sticking with me through that whole process as well, because I'm pretty sure it wasn't easy on you either.
No, no, I think that I had quite a few friends and I had quite a bit of support on my side, but that was also my size 7/10 foot a little on your back saying there's more to life, there's more to life. And I think once you figured out like the why you were drinking and you stopped convincing yourself that it was fun and it was cool and da da da, it's like, well, you can tell yourself that all you want, but when you're waking up the next day and you can hardly pull yourself out of bed. Like, that's not a good time in my mind.
Yeah.
So
It being fun for an hour or two didn't end up being worth it for the rest of the night. And then the fighting and then the arguing and then the crappy feeling the next day. And then you're just, it was not worth it.
really, so quality of life. And yeah, that's one of the things that you and I talk a lot about is just also, aside from you work in the well space, I work in the health space, it's all about quality of life. And it's all about doing the things that you love and being around the people you love and helping everybody elevate their lives and find different resources and avenues and ways that they can continue to thrive and not just survive. So I feel like we could talk about this for a very long time, but I know that it's late, even though the sun has not gone down. The sun is like the slowest sunset ever.
Going real slow behind me there. Yeah.
Slowest sunset, most beautiful, slowest sunset recorded ever in history. But I know that I will have you back on my show, I'm sure, as a guest. And you're always on the socials. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate you always coming on and being so honest about our life and being vulnerable and being my biggest fan to the show. And so that I get to do what I love the most. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thank you for having me. And like I said, anytime, because if I can help people, that's what I'm here for.
Absolutely. Oh, before we wrap up, where can people find you? What's your website? You want to throw that out there?
Yeah. So for infinite banking, it's highvibefinancial.com. And then with Wisco Real Estate Services, it's just wiscorealestate.com. I was going to say, you'll probably put them in the show notes, right?
Yeah. My amazing team, who I could not do this show without, by the way. Shout out to all the ladies that helped me put this thing together and produce this show. They're amazing. And I love you all, and I love you, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, baby. Love you too.
Okay, friends and fellow wellness warriors, thanks for tuning in today. If this show was helpful and inspired you, please head over to Apple or Spotify to rate, review, subscribe, and follow us, as well as share it with your friends and family. It's a fantastic way to grow the show, expand my reach, and teach others how to create a vibrant life they love. If you're ready to invest in your health and purchase a Clear Light sauna, hop on over to jenhellerlifestyle.com and send me a note. Thanks again for tuning in. I love you. I'm grateful for you. And I thank you so much for your support. You are the reason I do this work. You are the reason I do this show. And you are the reason I get up every single day with a burning desire in my soul. Cheers to your health and happiness, my friends. We'll see you next week. This podcast is for general information purposes only and is not intended to be substituted for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you think you have a medical condition, consult your licensed physician.